Audacious boys and babes, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about the future and past. Future being VR and the past being one stupid, stinky, little, stupid screen. That's not true. Screens have their place and we'll get into that, but I want to start by saying this is for sim drifting. I have not really done other types of sim racing, but if you're looking for some answers, maybe this will help with that too. I don't know. Could. Probably. I don't know. Maybe stick around and find out. I don't know why I sound so angry right now, but I think you're a great human being. And thanks for popping on by, homeboy. So VR versus single screen. I have chosen 6 categories. Basically say which one takes each category. They're gonna be a little competition, The first one being Immersion. Bet you can't guess who wins that one. The second one is Comfort. The third is Realism. The fourth is Performance. The fifth is Ease of Use. And the sixth is Fun. I think that's an important category because that's why we do this, right? That's why we drift. Because it's fun and it's lit and we can't afford cars. Starting with Immersion, it's hard to have one screen be really immersive. My wheel helps a lot. The Fanatec wheel helps a lot with that just because of the force feedback. It feels so good. But VR, you're there. You're actually living in the zone, in the drift zone. And you get a better feeling for like the speed and you're like looking inside the car. It's just all around a more immersive environment to play in. Another thing in Immersion, I thought it was gonna be hard to like find my shifter and my handbrake, but the muscle memory really kicks in and it's actually not that hard to reach over and find it. So it's not like immersion breaking or anything. Now I haven't tried 3 screens. I've seen some people do that. It looks like it could work great, but personally, I think VR wins in the immersion section. Now, let's talk comfort, comfortability. How plush do it be? So the screen is obviously gonna be way more comfortable because you don't have the big thing on your head. I have a comfort strap that helps a lot with the comfort on the VR, but at the end of the day, I just get tired faster on VR. I mean, it's a lot of eye strain because the screen is so close to your little pupils, little eye seeing orbs. Not only that, but it gets really warm, so like you feel it on your face hole, your little baby blues. You feel it up there real good. One more thing on comfort. My uncle has tried VR before and he got extremely motion sick and was not like he got sick for a couple days. I think he was not feeling great. So if you tend to get motion sick with VR, it probably won't be the choice for you. So comfort, gotta give it to the screen. I can play for way longer on the screen without straining my eyes and melting the white parts of my eyes. Realism. This kind of goes hand in hand with immersion, so maybe it's not fair to give it its own category, but it does feel more realistic when you're in VR. You cannot feel G-force, obviously, but there have been a few times when your boy almost slipped up out the seat, onto off the side, and wound up on the floor. I don't even know what accent that is. Well, this is like Louisiana. We have a crawfish ball. Anyway, Realism, gonna give it to VR because once again, like you're actually in the environment. You're not sitting there looking at a screen. One of the coolest things with VR is you can feel the speed that you're traveling. So I feel like it almost makes it easier to drift because you can feel how fast the car is going. And so you know, like, oh, I need to give it brakes right here because I'm coming in too fast. Whereas with a screen, it's harder to tell. Now, our next category is called Performance. Performance in terms of like frame rates and having the smoothest experience, using the least resources for your PC. This one will probably depend on what headset you get and what resolution it's at. I use the Quest 3 and it's got a really high resolution screen. I think it's one of the highest ones in the market right now. It definitely is a little bit of a resource hog. I have kind of a beefy computer over here, so I'm able to run that very well. I think it's 72 hertz or something is what I capped it out at. It doesn't need to be crazy, honestly. And it helps with your battery life as well if you do a lower refresh rate. Even with a beefy PC, you're still gonna get better performance out of a screen. When I'm trying to film myself playing, it records smoother. It doesn't affect my frames as much when I'm using a screen. So performance is definitely going to have to go to the screen. If you're planning on doing VR, make sure your PC is up to snuff because there can be some performance issues, that come along with running VR. Next, ease of use. I'm going to give another check mark to the screen because it works just like any other computer monitor. You plug it in, you're off to the races. Cannot say the same thing about VR. It's not as simple as setting up a screen is. There's like the Oculus app that I had to download, and then I had to like go in and check some things so that I stopped getting like jitters, and then I had to make sure I had the right cables. By the way, I have 2 cables to connect my VR. One of them is like the official MetaQuest cable for the Quest. I think it's the Quest 2. I don't know if they've made a new one yet. And another one is from Kiwi. Get the Kiwi one. It transfers the same amount of data or more sometimes than the Quest one, but the Quest one is like $80 and the Kiwi one was like 30 something, maybe 40. There's more things to think about than just like plugging it in and going to town. I had to enable like a beta mode on the Oculus app because I wasn't alpha enough. I'm capping. I'm the most alphaist bro around, you know what I'm saying? Okay, that was yikes. A beta mode as in like a test mode because I was having issues with the cable coming disconnected, and enabling that beta mode really helped that. If you're struggling with this, then let me know. I can make a quick tutorial about it or something sometime and help you out with that. Screen, ease of use. Much easier to use than the VR. Although I will say the VR wasn't terribly hard to set up once I figured out everything I needed to do. Fun factor. This is our last category. It is so much more fun drifting in VR. That's really why I'm doing this, is to have fun. I would like to drift real cars eventually, so I guess you could say it's like training, but at the end of the day, I want to have fun every step of the way. So drifting in VR is definitely the best way to do that. I think it's just way more fun, and it's probably more fun because of all these other elements that it hits with the immersion and the realism and just like feeling like you're behind the wheel. I would say the one thing that would make VR even better is if we added like a full motion rig, you know, like with the hydraulics that goes so it like tips your seat. I think that would be sick. Obviously that is a ways off. That's an expensive purchase, but I think that would be fun to get into eventually. If you're trying to decide between the two of these, I really think they work better together, just because sometimes you need a break from VR. Sometimes the motion sickness can kick in. Sometimes your eyes can just be too strained. You know, sometimes you just want to relax a little more. And I think a screen works well for that. If I could only have one, I would probably choose VR, but that's because I don't really get motion sick and I'm generally not playing for, you know, like more than 2 hours at a time. If I was playing more than that, then maybe I would stick with the screen. There's a lot of different things that go into picking between the two, so I personally would rather have both of them. I understand that that's not feasible for everybody, but hopefully this helps make your decision that much easier. And if it doesn't, then maybe you should have listened closer and you gotta rewind and watch it again. That was rude. I apologize. That is your video. Please do all the things that everybody asks you to do, like and subscribe and blow your nose, because I'm sure you got some boogers up there. You gotta get those babies out, okay? Evacuation style. Don't do drugs, and I will see you next week.